Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating piece of tech history. We're talking about a company that used to be literally synonymous with logging online. Yep, we're looking at Yahoo. We're going to break down their incredible rise and, ultimately, their dramatic fall. It's a massive cautionary tale about the dangers of losing your core identity when the market is moving at lightning speed. Okay, so let's dive right into this tragic arc. It really serves as the ultimate warning for businesses today. At their absolute peak, Yahoo truly owned the front page of the internet. But, their downfall didn't happen overnight, and it definitely wasn't because of one single bad product. It happened because they simply forgot who they were. And when a company stops understanding its own purpose, well, the market just moves on without it. To figure out exactly how this happened, we gotta go back to the very beginning, back when they were doing everything right. Part 1, the early internet's front page. To understand the fall, we first have to look back at the directory era, where Yahoo won by literally organizing the early web. They were universally known as the front page of the internet. It's an incredible moniker, right? They were absolute pioneers that everyone relied on to navigate the digital world. I mean, think back to the early days of the web. It was a completely chaotic, disorganized, wild west of information. Back in 1994, two Stanford grad students, Jerry Yang and David Filo, started a project. They originally called it Jerry and David's Guide to the World Wide Web. Thankfully, they rebranded to Yahoo, but the core functions stayed the exact same. Before complex automated search algorithms ruled the day, Yahoo stepped in with actual human beings who manually categorized and organized websites into this massive directory. They provided a wildly valuable service. If you wanted to find something online back then, you went to Yahoo. They were the starting point, the front door, the literal foundation of the early digital experience for millions of people. Part 2, a lethal identity crisis. Here's where a fatal flaw derailed their momentum and set the stage for the downfall. Have you ever heard of strategic drift? It is a silent killer in business. It's not some sudden explosion. Rather, it's a slow, gradual failure to adapt to a changing external environment. And as we see time and time again in corporate history, this drift is so often caused by a company losing its core identity. As the internet evolved from those static, manually curated directories into dynamic, algorithmic search and hyper-connected social networking, Yahoo started losing its grip on exactly what unique value they were supposed to provide. They were kind of resting on the laurels of their early directory success, while the technological foundations of the web were literally shifting right underneath them. Imagine being in a boardroom with billions of dollars on the line and nobody can answer one totally simple question. Are we a media company or are we a tech company? This is the fundamental identity crisis that tore Yahoo apart from the inside. Think about it. If you're a tech company, you're investing heavily in engineering, search algorithms, massive data centers, and innovative infrastructure. But if you're a media company, your budget goes toward content creation, premium Hollywood partnerships, and huge ad sales teams. Because Yahoo's executives just couldn't firmly decide which path to take, they tried to walk both of them at the exact same time. They split their focus, starved their true engineering potential, and ended up constantly at war with their own overarching strategy. By trying to be everything to everyone, they opened the door for hyper-focused competitors to specialize and ultimately dominate. Yahoo wanted to be your news source, your primary email provider, your search engine, your daily financial dashboard, and your entertainment hub. The whole shebang. Just think about how incredibly cluttered their homepage became. But while they were spread so thin trying to maintain this massive media tech hybrid portal, companies like Google and Facebook were executing a strategy of laser-focused specialization. Remember, Google famously launched with a minimalist white page featuring a single search bar. They poured absolutely everything into making the best search algorithm in the world. Meanwhile, Facebook poured everything into building the ultimate social graph. Yahoo's complete lack of focus made them entirely vulnerable to competitors who knew exactly who they were from day one. Part 3, the billion-dollar blunders. Let's look at how this identity crisis resulted in some of the most staggering missed acquisitions in business history. Okay, fast forward to 1998. The founders of a very young search engine named Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, offered to sell their PageRank algorithm to Yahoo. And the price tag? $1 million. Yes, you heard me right, $1 million. They just wanted $1 million so they could get back to their studies at Stanford. In the grand scheme of massive tech acquisitions, this is absolute pocket change. But because Yahoo was already suffering from that strategic drift, they didn't want users quickly leaving their portal to find other sites. They completely misunderstood the paradigm-shifting value of a superior search algorithm. So they passed on the deal. No way, right? It's a haunting reminder of what happens when a lack of vision, brought on by an identity crisis, just entirely blinds you to the future. And it gets worse. Years later, in 2006, they actually had the chance to buy Facebook for $1 billion. Again, think about how this traces directly back to their internal confusion. Yahoo had the golden opportunity to own the future of social networking. But right during the negotiations, Yahoo's stock price took a little dip. Instead of seeing the big picture, Yahoo's leadership hesitated. They tried to lower the offer to $850 million to save some short-term cash. Insulted, Mark Zuckerberg walked away from the table. Yahoo simply didn't possess the sharp, decisive strategic identity required to understand exactly what they were buying. They completely fumbled an acquisition that could have easily saved their legacy. Part 4. The final fire sale. These fatal wounds, caused directly by not knowing their core identity, pushed the company toward its inevitable breaking point. By 2012, entering a serious late-stage panic, Yahoo brought in Marissa Mayer from Google to try and right the sinking ship. It was a massive revitalization effort. If you look at the timeline from 2012 onward, we see a desperate, aggressive pivot toward mobile technology and all these attempts to buy relevance, like purchasing Tumblr for over $1 billion. But here is the problem with strategic drift. Once you are far enough off course, course correcting requires moving mountains. The market had already collectively decided that Google was for search and Facebook was for social. Despite Mayer's intense, years-long efforts to reinvent the company's culture and product lineup, the underlying identity crisis had already done irreparable damage. Ultimately, the web pioneer ended up in a final fire sale to Verizon in 2017 for just $4.5 billion. That is a mere fraction of their peak value. To truly put that into perspective, at the height of the dot-com bubble in the year 2000, Yahoo was valued at over $125 billion. So this $4.5 billion exit, it wasn't a triumph. It was the quiet surrender of a company that had completely lost its way. Verizon didn't buy them to conquer the internet. They simply absorbed them to bundle their remaining media assets and user data, completely stripping away the independence and the name of the former king of the digital world. So what does this all mean? Well, if a company doesn't know its own identity, how can it survive the future? Yahoo's dramatic demise leaves us with this crucial question to ask about our own endeavors. It really proves that specialization and deep self-awareness are the true keys to survival. When you try to be everything to everyone, you end up meaning nothing to anyone. Whether you're leading a massive global corporation or building a small startup right out of your garage, the lesson from this explainer is crystal clear. Define your core identity, commit to it deeply, and never let strategic drift blur your vision. Look at your own projects today and ask yourself, do you truly know who you are? Or are you just hoping the market doesn't figure it out before you do?